We like to believe the internet belongs to everyone. That it's this invisible web of information, open, free, and shared. But what if that was never true? What if the internet, the thing that defines modern life, is not a collective invention, but a privately owned empire? What if everything you see, send, or store online passes through the hands of a few unseen gatekeepers? Beneath the surface of connection lies something darker, a system of ownership and control so vast, so invisible, that even governments rely on it without fully understanding it. To know who owns the internet, you have to start where it begins, the ocean floor. Stretching across the seabed are more than 500 active undersea cables, carrying 99% of global internet traffic. These thick fiber optic veins pulse with every email, transaction, and video call. They're the true arteries of the web, the real internet, silent and submerged. And here's the twist, almost all of them are privately owned. Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft control over half of these global data cables. They don't just use the internet, they are the internet. Every message, every heartbeat of communication flows through their veins. The illusion of decentralization hides a deeper truth, centralization. Owning the cables means owning speed, access, and ultimately, information itself. Once, governments built and maintained these systems in the name of national progress. Then traffic exploded, and big tech stepped in, offering innovation, efficiency, and global reach. But every upgrade came with invisible strings attached. Slowly, the map of the world's data was redrawn in the boardrooms of Silicon Valley. Today, a single executive decision in California can alter connectivity in Africa, Asia, or Europe. The digital frontier, once public, is now private. And beneath the illusion of openness, the world runs on invisible monopolies. When you upload to the cloud, it feels free, like your data floats somewhere above, untouchable and safe. But the cloud is not the sky. It's an empire of concrete warehouses filled with humming servers, guarded like military bases. Over 70% of this infrastructure is controlled by just 3 companies: Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. These corporations host the backbone of government systems, healthcare data, military archives, and private lives. They decide, legally and quietly, what stays, what's erased, and who gets access. You don't own your digital footprint. You rent it. You don't own your website. You rent it. You don't own your cloud. You rent it. And when the rent isn't paid, your existence can vanish in a single click. Even the architecture of the web, its naming system, its addresses, is managed by private contracts under ICANN's oversight. Every .com or .org you visit runs through a chain of corporate agreements. Miss a renewal, and your identity disappears overnight. This concentration of control isn't hypothetical. When one company experiences an outage, half the world goes dark. When one policy changes, entire economies tremble. When one government pressures a provider to hand over data, billions lose privacy. The internet we use isn't a neutral network. It's a privately owned ecosystem built on public dependence, a digital feudal system. Once, peasants worked the land while nobles owned it. Now, we create data while corporations own the servers. Every click, like, and post enriches the digital landlords who own the fields of our attention. Governments depend on them too. Hospitals, intelligence agencies, even militaries rent space on corporate servers. The guardians of national secrets now outsource their storage to the same corporations that sell ads on your phone. The line between public power and private interest has dissolved. So who really owns the internet? Not the people. Not the state. But a handful of corporations whose names we already know, and whose reach we can never escape. You can log off a platform, but you can't log off the infrastructure. The internet was meant to connect us. Now, it contains us. They used to say, whoever controls the oil controls the world. Today, that's changed. Because whoever controls the data controls you. In the 20th century, nations fought over oil, pipelines, refineries, wells. In the 21st, the new wells are invisible. They exist in your phone, your laptop, your thoughts. Every tap, swipe, and scroll refines you into profit. This is the new oil rush. And you are the field being drilled. When oil powered the world, it fueled wars and industries. But oil had limits. It could be traced, taxed, and depleted. Data doesn't. Data is infinite. It renews itself every time you use technology. Each click becomes a droplet in an invisible ocean worth trillions. The giants of our age, Google, Meta, Amazon, TikTok, don't trade in oil or gold. They trade in behavior. They don't mine land. They mine you. You download an app. It asks for permission. You click allow. You think it's convenience. It's extraction. Your data, once worthless, is refined through algorithms into predictive intelligence. They know when you'll buy, when you'll break up, when you'll change jobs, when you'll doubt yourself. They don't just know what you did. They know what you will do. Governments saw this too. Surveillance expanded from protection to prediction. Insurance companies began pricing behavior. Employers started monitoring emotion. Even dating apps measure compatibility through emotional metrics. The world has become one vast oil field, and you are the resource. Social media algorithms are the pipelines. They convert your feelings into fuel. Anger, joy, fear, all refined into engagement metrics. Every scroll and pause feeds the refinery. You're not using the internet. The internet is using you. In 2024, global data generation surpassed 180 zettabytes, enough to fill every hard drive billions of times. Behind that number lie profits no oil baron could dream of. A single search query, a GPS ping, a purchase click, all tiny fragments of predictive gold. Oil built empires of steel. Data builds empires of control. And just like oil polluted air and oceans, data pollutes minds. It doesn't burn the planet. It burns attention. Every choice you make online is guided by algorithms trained on you, optimized to keep you watching, reacting, believing. You think you're free. You're just finely tuned. This is the age of behavioral engineering. Freedom isn't taken. It's redirected. And every app, feed, and policy update drills deeper. They used to say oil made the world run. Now, data makes the world think. And whoever owns the data, owns the future. But the most powerful control isn't cables or data, it's search. Because search engines don't just show you the internet. They define it. Every day, billions type questions into Google, believing they're exploring truth. But the web we see isn't truth, it's a curated illusion, engineered to serve the highest bidder and safest narrative. You never see the web. You see a version of it. When Google began, its mission was noble, to organize the world's information. But over time, accessibility turned into optimization, and optimization turned into control. Today, the algorithm doesn't just find results, it defines reality. Search engines calculate billions of factors in a split second, but the hidden variable is always profitability. The higher a page's profit potential, the higher it appears. Truth is buried beneath engagement. Emotion outranks evidence. Outrage sells better than facts. Behind this, teams of engineers fine-tune algorithms not for truth, but for retention. You think you're choosing. You're reacting to a digital architecture designed to manipulate choice. In 2016, researchers discovered that simply rearranging search results could shift undecided voters by 20%. No fake news. Just order. Search bias now shapes elections, health choices, and belief systems, all hidden beneath the veneer of neutrality. Governments, advertisers, and corporations quietly buy visibility. Entire industries exist to game the algorithm, SEO farms, digital propaganda networks, influence brokers. Their clients? Political parties, pharmaceutical giants, media conglomerates. Their product? Visibility. You're not browsing the world's knowledge. You're walking through a museum curated by invisible hands, where profitable truths hang in the brightest light, and dangerous truths vanish in the dark. And yet, this system survives on one thing: trust. We trust the results, the rankings, the relevance. We trust convenience more than truth. That trust is the final invisible currency, the one traded most ruthlessly of all. The internet began as a democratic dream, a free exchange of ideas. Now it's a hierarchy of control, powered by algorithms, refined by behavior, owned by corporations, and protected by convenience. You don't see it because it doesn't need to hide. It just needs you to stay comfortable. The invisible empire isn't built of walls or borders. It's built of dependencies. You depend on it for connection, validation, livelihood, and knowledge. It depends on you for data, attention, and trust. Every message you send, every thought you share, strengthens the architecture of control. You are both the citizen and the resource, both the user and the product. And as long as the system stays invisible, it stays invincible. The internet was meant to connect us. Now, it contains us. And maybe, it always did.